Hi, it's Maria from the Tarot Shop, and in this video I want to take you through the 3 different schools of tarot, and not to teach you each of the schools because this is my school, which is the Rider-Waite. I'm going to turn her over. So this is the school that I belong to. This is the school I teach. I can read the Marseille. I'm not a fan. I don't read the Thoth and the Crowley Thoth, and I'm not a particular fan of Aleister Crowley. However, there are readers that will only read the Crowley Thoth. There are readers that will only read the Marseille, and there are readers like myself that tend to read the Rider-Waite. You'll have some readers that will read all 3 of them, and it just depends how they feel on that day. So I thought, well, I just talk about the Rider-Waite all the time, so it'd be really interesting to let you see a contrast or a compare and contrast between all of the different 3 decks. It's a really interesting exercise, so I hope that you'll find it interesting. From a historical point of view, the Marseille came first, then the Rider-Waite came, and then Aleister Crowley produced his Thoth. Unfortunately, he didn't see this in existence. It was produced after his death. I believe it was in the 40s. And this was in early 1900s, and then this goes back to a very long time before that. So my history has been sorely tested here today, and please bear with me, it's the end of the day. So we've got the Marseille, the Rider-Waite, and the Thoth. So I'm just going to quickly walk you through. These aren't actually these cards in this deck. These are my own, and I have this thing for shiny things. I don't know why, but I do. So it's not the actual deck that's in that box, but it's just an example. So if you start with the Fool, you can see you've got the Fool. Very similar. He's got I don't know what that is, pulling his trousers away, but it's a very similar. He's got a bag over there. He's not looking where he's going. And the same with the Fool for the Crowley Thoth. He's not actually off on an adventure. Very much the jester type. And something's biting his leg. So very heavy into symbolism as well. So you've got the Magician. It's called the Magus in that one. And then the High Priestess is the Papess in the Marseille. Then you've got the Empress. The Emperor. Now in the Marseille, the Hierophant is the Pape, because obviously it's the religious figure, and it's the Pope. So you've got, this is more these days about sharing and receiving of knowledge. So we respect the fact that obviously there's a power and knowledge of greater than ours. So that's what this is about, connecting to deep knowledge, very expert knowledge, pretty much as they expected the religious leaders to. All Lovers, the Chariot. Now we move on to a difference here, because you can see that in the Marseille we've got the Justice, and then Crowley calls Justice adjustment. So you've got the same thing. It's the same energy. However, it's strength in this one. And that's because Waite changed the positioning in the Tarot Major Arcana between strength and justice. So in his deck, strength is number 8. But in these decks, it's number 11. If that made sense. I'll show you in a second. You'll see in a minute. So then we've got the Hermit. Then you have the Wheel of Fortune, which Crowley calls Fortune. And then you go into the Emperor. So you see this is Justice in Waite's deck, but actually it's strength there. And Crowley calls it Lust, but it's the same energy as the strength. Then we have the Hanging Man, the Hanged Man, Death, same in all decks, Temperance, Art. So Crowley calls it Art. The Devil in all 3 decks, Tower in all 3 decks, Star, La Luna, the Moon, the Sun, Judgment. Now, what does he call it, Crowley? The Aeon. I've got this OCD, it's ridiculous, isn't it? I'm just going to quickly tidy those up because I'm just too stressful. The Aeon, the Judgment. Then you have the World, the world, and the universe in his deck. So that's how that works. Now, this is an awfully long thing because obviously I'm just going to take you through one deck. Otherwise, I'll be here forever going through all 78 cards. And I'm just going to take you through the pentacles so that you can see the differences in the different styles. And obviously the court cards. So here we've got pentacles. So you've got one. And then Crowley calls them discs. Of course, I'm going to then feel that I should really take it. Now, this is interesting because Crowley calls it change, which is making a decision. It's choice. So 3, and he's got words that explain it. So works. The 4, power. He calls number 5 worry, which it is, because you can see you've got the worry in this card. This is when the pictures kind of take it on their own. So you've got success, generosity in Rider-Waite. Failure. Well, it's not that in the Waite. That's about actually, I want more, not really happy with what you've got, so you want more. This is a master craftsman. So prudence. Different, aren't they? Hope you're finding this interesting. 9 is gain, and 10 is wealth. So Aleister Crowley went to the same occult school as Waite. So he had access to the same information. So I find it very interesting that they've actually got, similar means. Now he calls his pages princesses. So you've got the Princess of Discs, and this is the valet. Then you have a cavalier, which is a knight, and it's a prince in the, and then you have the queens, so they're queens in all of them. And then you have the Knight of Discs. So kings are knights, you see. So that can be slightly confusing because actually the knight is the senior male figure. And the prince is the knight in this deck, if that makes sense. So that's basically, I thought that would be quite interesting to just show you. See, these are all the cards. It would take me forever to go through them all. And it's really quite interesting. I'm going to do a separate video that takes you through, if you are interested in more. I wish I'd seen more of the Crowley Thoth. I'm going to do a separate video to take you through that. I know it's been around a long time, but I think it's really important that people see what other options and what other schools of tarot are available. So, although I don't obviously teach that, and that's because I've never have. And I don't particularly like, as I said, Aleister Crowley, but there are people that really feel connected with this deck. So it'll be interesting to see if you did connect with it. And I'll do a separate video just on this deck alone. Okay, so that's it. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you found it interesting, and bye-bye.